हेलो एंड अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम टू ऑल ऑफ यू। स्वागत है आप सभी का हमारे चैनल पर। माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, इन दिस वीडियो लेक्चर वी आर गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू with our postmortem series. In these series of lectures, we go through the recent year question paper, we go through the entire question paper, we discuss about each and every question in detail. As the name suggests, it is a postmortem series. So the idea is that just like a doctor, okay, we have to do a post-mortem of each and every question. We shouldn't be restricting it to just merely Q&A session where you are telling me sir इसका आंसर A है, इसका आंसर B है. आप सबका आंसर आपको पता है, you must be having the answer key with you. We have to so the focus should be to discuss each and every concept, to deconstruct every option of every question. Okay, so good morning. I can see few people have joined. So if you are somebody who is new to our channel, my name is Tushar Goyal. I'm a PhD research scholar at Center for Media Studies, JNU. I've qualified JRF. I've qualified several other media related exams. So you can consider subscribing to our channel. On this channel, we have more than 250 lectures on media studies, which are absolutely free and open access. We have made an entire course of UGC NET, which is free on our channel. You can go through it. All the lectures are free. And you can also check out our application and website in case you are looking for study material or test series. So we have with us Bidhan, Ananya, Soul of Love, and I can see other people joining as well. So dear students, this is question number 41. Arrange the following in ascending order in which they came in existence or were launched. So this question is basically history of public relation in India. Okay, so we have learned about public relations in great detail in our unit number 5. There were some 10-12 lectures. This is a fresh question, so let us learn about this in great detail. So dear students, when we talk about this profession of public relations, this has been there since dawn of human civilization. So building good relationship with your stakeholders, whether it is a business organization, whether it's a religious organization, political party, country, okay, we need to make good relations with our stakeholders, okay, in order to let's say in order for us to work in a smooth manner. So this has been there since dawn of this human civilization. It was coded professionally in, you can say, 19th century, okay, with the coming up of people like P.T. Burnham. We had learned about the theory, or let's say the concept of public agentry, okay, how to create a spectacle. Then in 20th century, if we look at it from global context, it became more professional. People like Ivy Lee, Edward Burney, they made it more professional. So in India, ओके, द आइडिया ऑफ पब्लिक रिलेशन क्या है? मैं एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हूँ, इंडियन मास कम्युनिकेशन, मेरे बड़े सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, मेरे स्टूडेंट्स हैं, देन देयर कैन बी सम अदर सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट्स हु वर्क विद मी, दे कुड बी माई एंटायर टीम, people who are looking after my tech application website. So I need to maintain good relation with all of them. Okay, how to make smooth relations with our stakeholders? In India, this has been going on since beginning. So if you look at Ashoka the Great, or let's say Gupta Empire, there were several efforts which were made to create good relations with जो राजा होता था वो प्रजा से अपने relations किस तरह से better कर सकता था, किस तरह से एक आप कह लीजिए साम्राज्य दूसरे साम्राज्य से अपने relations better कर सकते थे. Okay, when we look at it प्री इंडिपेंडेंस, किस तरह से अगर आप देखेंगे ब्रिटिशर्स ने भी कोशिश करी कि किस तरह से जो डिफरेंट न्यूज़पेपर्स थे उनसे किस तरह से अच्छे रिलेशंस बनाए जाए. अगर आप देखेंगे 1860s के दौरान दे स्टार्टेड विद दिस आइडिया ऑफ एडिटर्स रूम वेयर दे यूज्ड टू कॉल पीपल, ओके, सो दैट दे कैन गेट गुड कवरेज इन न्यूज़पेपर्स. देन व्हेन यू लुक एट इंडिया पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस, there were several good companies. Tata Steel started one course on public relation. There were several efforts which were being made so to look at it from management perspective. So people who do MBA, okay, or let's say people who are into management, communication becomes a very important part of an organization. Let's say if there is a certain kind of crisis, you can take example of any brand. It can be Coca-Cola, Maggie. You must have heard about several crisis management stories, case studies which we study. Okay, so let's say let me take example of let's say there is an organization, it is into hotel management business. Okay, there is a certain kind of incident where certain people are telling that they had very bad experience, they are writing on Twitter, all those things. So now post independence, a lot of business organizations, even the government, they had to take this profession of public relation very seriously. Okay, before this it was not professionally organized, it was very unorganized. People didn't know the grammar of public relations, how to manage communications for organizations. So 1958 this organization becomes very important, which was PRSA, Public Relations Society. Okay, PRS, Public Relations Society of India, PRSI, sorry, okay. It began its operations in 1958. Initially, it was all unorganized. It was a group of certain people, which was spearheaded in the able hands of Cali H. Moody. Okay, this is one of the very frequently asked question, and this is also a previous question in your paper. Who is often regarded as father of public relations? So Cali H. Moody, remember this name. Then in 1961, this organization was registered. 1968, a very important event took place. What happened was All India Public Relation Conference in 1968. The first All India Public Relation Conference was held in Mumbai. So what was the major significance of this conference? Why they are asking you in question this exam? You should know the relevance of something which was asked. So in this, so the entire idea throughout these 2 decades was to make this profession of public relation organized. Okay, people should be organized, there should be some set rules, so there should be some moral code of conduct which should be self-governed. In case of journalism, we have already seen that there were several bodies, Editors Guild. So the idea of self-governance, okay, in public relations, similarly, this body is very important because it has made this profession, it has organized this profession. So 1968, there were several, this conference had several key events. One was creating moral code of conduct for public relations professionals. Then in 1982, another very important conference which was held was Public Relations World Conference. In this, IPRA, can anybody tell me the full form of IPRA? IPRA is another very important body which is related to public relations. You must have heard about Athens Code of Conduct of Public Relations. You can tell me the name, full form of this acronym called IPRA. This is very important from examination point of view. So in 9th Public Relations World Congress was conducted in 1982 with active participation of International Public Relations Association. So it got credence internationally, this organization. Okay, then 1986, the first National PR Day was celebrated. Okay, so now with this context, you can solve this question. Arrange the following in ascending order in which date there is a grammatical error in this question. They came into existence or were launched. So very first event was Public Relations Society of India, post independence. It started in 1958. Then it got registered in 1961. Okay, World Public Relations in relations, very good, soul of love. In membership of IPRA was conducted in 1982. Okay, first, now see this thing. Okay, this is little I would say confusing. So this suggests the non-seriousness of the examiner. They are asking first public relations day observed. They have not mentioned whether it was national or whether it was World Public Relation Day. Okay, so see this how non-serious they are. So we are going to assume that they were asking for National PR Public Relation Day. National Public Relation Day is celebrated on, if I'm not wrong, in April it is celebrated. You can check on your own. Okay, so it started in 1986. Okay, so you can set the chronology for this particular event. There is not clear cut answer for right now, because if you refer to a lot of sources, there are several mismatched dates. So some sources are claiming that this journal started in 2003, some are claiming it started in 1998. Okay, but there is no clear cut answer for this. So don't I would suggest that you should move on. Like if there is a controversial question, don't waste your time. ठीक है, एक बार पूछा है, there is very unlikely this trivia might be repeated. So if you set the chronology, the right answer would be option number 4. Okay, I hope you learned something new. Let us move forward. Now a lot of questions, interesting concepts which has been asked from unit number 10 research. In which of the following methodologies is the size of sample determined by theoretical saturation? Okay, so now let us discuss about all these methodologies. These are very important. I often reiterate this thing that research is like potato. This unit is like potato. जिस तरह से आलू हर सब्जी में गिरता है, वैसे उसी तरह से ये जो रिसर्च का टॉपिक है, ये हर क्वेश्चन पेपर में आएगा ही आएगा, क्योंकि आपका एग्जाम ही रिसर्च का है. बेशक कोई एक यूनिट या 2 यूनिट 4 यूनिट 5 यूनिट ना आए, रिसर्च से हमेशा 20 क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. इट इज़ अ मेक और ब्रेक डील. ठीक है, सो इसको अच्छे से किया कीजिए. इसके जितने प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर सकते हैं इसको कीजिए. इन विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग मेथडोलॉजीज इज द साइज ऑफ सैम्पल determined by theoretical saturation? What does this suggest? So let us look at these methodologies. So the right answer is actually grounded theory. Okay, we have discussed about this methodology in great detail in our lecture on methods of research. Now let us revise this. This is the best way to revise when we solve a lot of PYQs. So what is grounded theory? I'll try to explain this with the help of a very simple example. So in grounded theory, now let us understand this with the help of a very simple to understand example. So there is a firm, there is an organization, it is experiencing a very high attrition rate. What is attrition? A lot of employees, they are leaving the company very abruptly. Okay, so the budget of human resource is getting very high. Management has to face a lot of wastage. So in order to find the major reason, they have to do some kind of research. Now let's say you are a researcher. What kind of methodology are you going to use? Please try to engage with these classes. Try to think. You have to be a thinking scholar. If you are passively listening to all of these things and you are not engaging, then believe me, you are not going to retain anything. Kindly think. You have to be a thinking scholar throughout your life. So kindly, I have asked a very simple question. We have a statement problem with us that there is a firm. Let's say there is a company called Indian Mass Communication, and Indian Mass Communication is facing a very high attrition rate. Employees are leaving here and there very abruptly. Every day the HR is getting mail that we are quitting. Now the budget of hiring new people, it is like there is a lot of wastage. Okay, so let's say if Bidhan is there, Ram is there, Suchito is there, Anya is there. If you have this problem statement, what kind of research methodology are you going to use? You can tell me any kind of research methodology. You can use interview method. Okay, you can use you can even use quantitative methods. You can create certain operational definitions, like dissatisfaction could be one operational definition. You can quantify it. You can create a scale. You can create a Thurston scale, Gutman scale. You can ask them on a scale of 1 to 7, please rate this dissatisfaction. Okay, how dissatisfied are you? You can operationalize other variables such as, let's say, income. Some people might feel disgruntled because they might not be getting good salaries. Okay, but let's say we don't know any reason. These are all hypotheses which we are creating initially. Okay, so this is a hypothesis you created, that you feel that the attrition is high because there is disgruntled, they are disgruntled because of less compensation. This is initially you have already chosen this fact. What if you don't know about anything? You are starting from clean slate. Okay, that is grounded theory. You don't create hypothesis initially. You curate a lot of data. You collect a lot of data. From that data, you come to a conclusion instead of you coming up with a hypothesis initially. Okay, let's say being in the management, I hypothesized that this high attrition is because of let's say low compensation. So I'm going to study about this thing. I'm only going to like the tool which I'm going to curate for this research, it is heavily biased towards one factor, which is low compensation. Or it might be, my hypothesis is that there are cultural factors. What if I feel that I don't know any reason? There can be any reason. That is grounded theory. Okay? Grounded theory, research is an inductive approach in which a theory is developed based on data. Theory comes later. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a lot of data. It can be focus group discussions, it can be qualitative interviews, okay, even I can go for surveys. Okay, from that data I'm going to look for patterns. So let's say I took a lot of data, I interviewed 100 employees. So it can include ex-employees of Indian Mass Communication. I called them. I told them, why did you leave this company? Okay, I can interview the current employees as well. Now I'm going to code the entire data. Now I'm going to look for patterns. Okay, so out of, let's say, sample of 100 people, 57 respondents mentioned this thing, that they felt the idea of cognitive dissonance. They felt that they were not being heard by management. Okay, or let's say 42 respondents said that they felt disgruntled because there was no fair compensation. So I am devising patterns throughout this data. Okay, so now question arises, sir, how many interviews are going to conduct? That is where comes this idea of theoretical saturation, the point where I am going to feel that now all the respondents are going to giving same kind of responses. That is where the theoretical saturation comes. ठीक है, अब देखिए कितनी आसानी से आप इसको समझ गए. ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी क्या है कि हम तब तक डेटा कलेक्ट करेंगे, मैं तब तक लोगों को इंटरव्यू करूँगा जब तक मुझे ऐसा ना लगे कि जितने रिस्पॉन्डेंट्स हैं वो सेम ही रिस्पॉन्स दे रहे हैं. इसके आगे जो भी मैं करूँगा वो मेरा वेस्टेज ऑफ एफर्ट है. ठीक है, तो दैट इज theoretical saturation. Now read the question again. In which of the following methodologies is the size of the sample determined by theoretical saturation? So ethnography is also a qualitative. One of the major limitation could be that there is a problem of validation also, validity, but that can be that can be negated through the process of triangulation. Okay, you can collect data in 3 different ways. One major limitation of this theory could be that it is very it's very expensive. Okay, it requires a lot of effort. You have to hire an entire team. Let's say you have to hire an interviewer. A lot of efforts goes into it. Okay, ethnography is a qualitative research methodology where the respondent, he or she, observes cultural phenomena. They start to live with the subjects. Okay, जैसे अगर मुझको एथनोग्राफी करनी है किसी ट्राइब की, तो मैं वहाँ जाके रहूँगा, मैं अपनी डायरी मेंटेन रखूँगा. ठीक है, मैं लिखता रहूँगा उसके अंदर जो मेरे रोज़ के ऑब्जर्वेशन होंगे. Narrative analysis, it is very common in media studies. Okay, so research is conducted on, let's say, narratives, their key themes. The text is peeled like an onion. Okay, it's a very good phrase in research. Then action research, we have discussed this thing 1000 times. So now let me discuss this 1001 time. So when we have certain problem statement which needs very prompt action. ओके, सो कुछ बहुत ही रिसेंटली घट गया है, उसकी हमें मतलब बहुत ही जल्दी उस पर रिएक्ट करना है या उसका सॉल्यूशन निकालना है. सो प्लान, एक्ट, रिएक्ट. ठीक है, उसका एक प्रोसेस होता था ना, सर्कुलर प्रोसेस. आप उसके बारे में मुझे कमेंट बॉक्स में बता सकते हैं, चैट बॉक्स में. ठीक है, सो दिस वाज थियोरेटिकल सैचुरेशन. आप, आई होप यू लर्न समथिंग न्यू. मज़ा आया इसको पढ़ के, ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Arrange the following steps in ascending order of an analytic induction strategy. So in simple words, they are asking you about the steps of research. So what is an inductive and deductive approach? Inductive is particular to general and deductive is general to particular. So what is this biblical thing you have just said? देखो इसके अंदर जो ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी था ना, इट वाज आल्सो इंडक्टिव. इंडक्टिव इज दैट hypothesis is created late at later stage. Initially you collect particular data, particular phenomena. Okay. Deductive is there is a theory. So smoking leads to blood cancer. This is a hypothesis. Now I am going to disprove it or prove it. Okay. If I can prove this thing through data, I take a lot of data, I collect data of chain smokers, and I can prove this fact that 50% or more than 50% people who smoke for more than 10 years they got cancer. Okay. So inductive deductive बहुत बारी पढ़ चुके हैं, ये जस्ट रिवीजन मैं आपके करा रहा हूँ, आप इसके बारे में पढ़िएगा, बहुत ही फ्रीक्वेंटली रिपीटेड कॉन्सेप्ट है ये आपके उसके अंदर. ठीक है. तो इसमें क्या है, अरेंज द फॉलोइंग इन असेंडिंग ऑर्डर ऑफ एनालिटिक इंडक्शन स्ट्रैटेजी. तो जो बेसिक आपका रिसर्च प्रोसेस होता है वो होता है कि यू स्टार्ट विद आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है दोस्तों, ये क्वेश्चन ना हर बारी पूछा जाता है एग्जाम में घुमा फिरा के, कभी कभार 2 बारी पूछ लिया जाता है और बच्चे भी ये भी गलत करके आ जाते हैं. और मैं फिर कह रहा हूँ, सैम्पलिंग, वेरिएबल्स, रिलायबिलिटी, वैलिडिटी, देन स्टेप्स ऑफ रिसर्च, मीनिंग ऑफ रिसर्च, ओके, ऑल दीज थिंग दे आर लाइक, मैं कितनी बार कह रहा हूँ कि दीज आर थिंग्स विच आर गोइंग टू बी आस्क्ड इन योर एग्जाम. मतलब कुछ ऐसे टॉपिक्स होते हैं जो हर साल पूछे जाते हैं घुमा फिरा के, बच्चे उसको नहीं करते. आप एक चीज़ ऐसी पकड़ लोगे जो 10 साल में एक बार पूछी गई है, यू आर जस्ट गोइंग टू वेस्ट अ लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट्स. डोंट वेस्ट योर एफर्ट्स. ओके. तो पहली बात होती है, वी स्टार्ट विद आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ प्रॉब्लम, रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर, फॉर्मुलेशन ऑफ हाइपोथेसिस इन केस ऑफ डिडक्टिव स्ट्रेटेजी, डिडक्टिव रिसर्च, देन यू डिज़ाइन योर रिसर्च, ऑल दीज थिंग्स. Let us look at all these options first. So define a topic of interest and develop hypothesis. Study other causes until the hypothesis is refined. Look for negative cases that might disprove the hypothesis and reformulate again. Continue until the hypothesis is adequately tested. Study a case to whether the hypothesis works. If it doesn't work, reformulate. ठीक है. अब बहुत ही ध्यान से इस क्वेश्चन को समझो, बिल्कुल भी जल्दबाजी की बात नहीं है, थोड़ा सा हैप्पी होके इस चीज़ को समझने की कोशिश कीजिए. इन्होंने क्वेश्चन में पूछा है अरेंज द फॉलोइंग स्टेप्स इन असेंडिंग ऑर्डर, मतलब बढ़ते या घटते क्रम. बताइए हिंदी में क्या मतलब होता है असेंडिंग ऑर्डर का, घटता क्रम या चढ़ता क्रम. सो मतलब पहले से लेके लास्ट में जाना है आपको. अरेंज द फॉलोइंग स्टेप्स इन असेंडिंग ऑर्डर ऑफ एनालिटिक इंडक्शन स्ट्रैटेजी. अभी जो हमने एग्जाम्पल की बात करी थी ना, ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी, ये भी इंडक्टिव थ्योरी है. ठीक है, इंडक्टिव मेथोडोलॉजी ऑफ रिसर्च है. इंडक्टिव इज पर्टिकुलर टू जनरल, बिल्कुल सेम एग्जांपल यूज़ करेंगे. ठीक है, ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी का द केस स्टडी रिमेन्स द सेम. इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लेट्स से IIMC, देयर इज़ अ वेरी हाई एट्रिशन रेट. नाउ इन इंडक्शन we don't start with hypothesis initially, we make hypothesis through collection of data. ठीक है. So the very first thing would be, let's say we are going to define the topic or why do we want to conduct this research. So we are conducting this research because there is a high attrition rate. Now we don't know any reason. Initially मैं फिर इसको reiterate करूँगा कि जब हम इंडक्शन स्ट्रैटेजी की बात कर रहे हैं या हम बात कर रहे हैं ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी की, हम मान के चल रहे हैं कि हमें रीज़न पता ही नहीं है. मतलब डिडक्टिव क्या होगा, मैं आपको बहुत सिंपल शब्दों में बता रहा हूँ. आप हाइपोथेसिस तभी फॉर्मुलेट करेंगे ना जब आपको लगता है कि ये रीज़न हो सकता है. आपको लगता है लोगों को डिससेटिस्फैक्शन हो रही है बिकॉज ऑफ लो कॉम्पनसेशन. आपको लगता है कि लोगों को डिससेटिस्फैक्शन हो रही है बिकॉज ऑफ सम कल्चरल बैरियर्स. व्हाट इफ़ यू थिंक कि आपको कुछ भी नहीं पता, यू आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम ज़ीरो. ठीक है. सो मजलिस कह रहे हैं सर आपकी वीडियोस बहुत अच्छी है, मैंने बिना कुछ पढ़े सिर्फ आपकी 2 वीडियोस 2 बार दिया और मेरा PhD क्लियर हो गया. इस बार JRF ज़रूर निकालना है मजलिस. आई एम रियली ग्लैड यू फाउंड दीज लेक्चर्स हेल्पफुल. आई विश यू ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट फॉर द फ्यूचर एज वेल. सो इन दिस केस you don't know any reason, you are starting with a very clean slate. Let's say we discussed about this idea of tabula rasa in last class na, let's apply it here. As a researcher, you feel that you don't know any reason, it could be any reason. Okay, so how can you formulate hypothesis initially? First, it is going to be, you are going to define a topic of interest. Okay, this hypothesis is not permanent, now you are going to work on it. ठीक है, so इसमें से ना जो दूसरे ऑप्शन है उसको वो कर दो, एलिमिनेशन मेथड यूज करेंगे हम उसमें. ठीक है, नाउ व्हाट आर यू गोइंग टू डू? Study other cases until hypothesis is in refined form. Let's say you develop a hypothesis. In this case, the hypothesis is people are disgruntled. Okay, but you are not going to disprove it or prove it. You have just created one reason for you. Now you are going to dig further. ठीक है, you are peel it like an onion. आप और लोगों से इंटरव्यूज करोगे. आप क्या करोगे? आप और केसेस को स्टडी करोगे, दूसरे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को देख सकते हैं. मैं इंटरव्यू मेथड यूज़ कर रहा था ग्राउंडेड थ्योरी में, ये केस स्टडी यूज़ कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, ये और ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस का देख रहे हैं, वहाँ पे इतना हाई इटरेशन रेट था, वहाँ पे क्या दिक्कत थी. ठीक है, उन्होंने देखा अच्छा ये हो सकता है कि क्या पता दूसरी कंपनी है वो पोच कर रही है, मतलब IIMC के कोई कॉम्पिटिटर रहे होंगे वो पोच कर रहे हैं एम्प्लॉयज़ को, ये भी एक रीज़न हो सकता है. सो देयर कुड बी H2 हाइपोथेसिस नंबर सेकेंड. देयर कुड बी थर्ड हाइपोथेसिस. आपने एक और केस स्टडी पढ़ी, उसके अंदर आपने देखा कि जो ये फील्ड है इसके अंदर आगे स्कोप ही नहीं है, तो लोगों को अपने करियर से थोड़ा डिसइल्यूजनमेंट हो रहा है. दे आर फीलिंग दैट दिस माइट नॉट बी द थिंग फॉर देम, सो दे हैव टेकन ब्रेक टू अपस्किल देमसेल्व्स. इट कैन बी हाइपोथेसिस नंबर 3. ठीक है, सो फर्स्ट स्टेप इज यू डिफाइन अ टॉपिक ऑफ इंटरेस्ट एंड डेवलप अ टेंटेटिव हाइपोथेसिस. ठीक है, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू डिसप्रूव इट और प्रूव इट. डेटा कलेक्ट नहीं करने लग जाओगे कि आपने फिर आप और पढ़ोगे इसको और जानोगे. ठीक है, नाउ यू लुक फॉर नेगेटिव केसेस दैट माइट डिसप्रूव हाइपोथेसिस. ठीक है, अच्छा आपको लगा कि अच्छा मैंने ये केस चूज़ किया था, ऑब्जर्वेशन पैटर्न हाइपोथेसिस थ्योरी. Okay, so Ram, is this deductive or inductive what you have written? You tell me, sir, this is deductive or inductive. Okay, then you are going to look for other cases as we are discussing. What is the difference between analytic induction is within a kind of you can say different kind of technique जिसके अंदर आप hypothesis को बहुत बारी ना कि आप पहले ही डिसाइड कर लें कि आपकी हाइपोथेसिस है कि एम्प्लॉयज़ इसलिए डिसग्रंटेड है कि उनको कॉम्पनसेशन नहीं मिल रहा. आप मल्टीपल केस स्टडीज़ लिटरेचर का रिव्यू करेंगे, आप बार बार डिफरेंट केस स्टडीज़ को पढ़ेंगे, आप इंटरव्यूज़ कंडक्ट करेंगे, तब तक आप उसको लॉक नहीं करेंगे. ठीक है, एनालिटिक इंडक्शन इज़ अ काइंड ऑफ रिसर्च मेथडोलॉजी. इंडक्शन एंड डिडक्शन आर फिलोसफिकल अप्रोचेस टू रिसर्च. ठीक है, देन द लास्ट स्टेप वुड बी द पॉइंट एट विच यू रीच थियोरेटिकल सैचुरेशन, जहाँ आपको लगता है कि आपने पूरी रिसर्च कंडक्ट कर ली है, इसके आगे आपको कोई भी नए इंसाइट नहीं मिल रहे. ओके, एट दैट पॉइंट यू आर गोइंग टू लॉक योर रिसर्च और हाइपोथेसिस. ठीक है, टू मूव फॉरवर्ड. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग आर नॉट द पार्ट ऑफ AIDAS theory of personal selling? So this question has been asked from models of advertising. ठीक है, so initially we learned about AIDA by St. Elmo Lewis. This is one of the most relevant cited theory, or you can call it a model of selling goods and services or marketing technique, which is very simple, very basic, very rudimentary, yet very effective. Till now people are using it, which is attention, interest, desire and action. So if you want to, let's say, devise or design a good communication strategy, you need to create it in this 4 stages. Okay, the first stage should be that you need to create attention. How are you going to create attention? It has to be spectacular. You have to create a spectacle out of it. Okay, आप या तो कोई हम जो एडवर्टाइजिंग अपील्स की बात करते हैं ना, इमोशनल अपील, sexual appeal, or let's say humor, all those things are methods of creating attention. Okay, then you have to create an interest. Interest could be created through telling the value this product is going to create in your life. Let's say if you take this car, if you buy this suit, initially it has to be it has to be very eye-catching. Initially it has to start with a kind of aspiration. People should want to buy this good. There should be an aspiration to buy, wear this suit of raiments. Then you are going to add interest by, adding the value of this product, that it is comfortable. Okay. Then desire is further, let's say, added through all these information only. Okay, that they are going to feel superior when they are going to walk through this lane. Then the last point is action is done through call to action, so there could be some kind of discount and other thing. This model was further upgraded, and another S was added. So I couldn't find the name of the person who added this. This is missing. सर मैं PW कैंडिडेट हूँ, क्या मुझे PhD करनी चाहिए अगर? Okay, I'll try to create the video on it much less. This S was later added by some theorist. We don't know the name of it because there is no mention about it. So S stands for satisfaction. After that product has been bought, it is very relevant in the contemporary times. Okay, when there is a feedback in advertising. Initially in traditional media of communication, it was one to many. So there was one advertiser and there was no feedback. So advertisement used to go through, let's say, billboards. They used traditional mediums like television, newspapers. Okay, there was no feedback. Now in the age of interactive media, where there is ratings, where there are, let's say, comment section, okay, where they can give their feedbacks through Twitter, this becomes very important. Satisfaction. Okay, so AIDAS is a variation of original AIDA model, which is known as one of the hierarchy of effects model. AIDAS stands for attention, interest, desire, action, and fifth point becomes very relevant in the times we are living in. So the marketing campaign has to ensure that there is also satisfaction. Let's say if somebody feels that they are not satisfied and they write it on Twitter, okay, that I'm not satisfied with this product, you should be very humbly, or let's say professionally, you should try to answer the queries also. Sometimes these things can escalate into bigger things. They can turn into some kind of crisis. So AIDAS S stands for satisfaction. So which of the following are not part of AIDAS theory of selling? A stands for attention. Is there attention? No. Okay. Interest. Okay. Then desire, action, and satisfaction. Which of the following are not part? So desire is part of it. Okay. Action is also part of it. Satisfaction is also part of it. Okay. Distribution and sales is not part of AIDAS model. Okay. Attention, interest, desire, action, and S stands for satisfaction. So the right answer would be B and D. Okay. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. In script writing, who coined beginning, middle, and end? Recently I made a video on script writing. It was very well received. Okay. In the coming days, we will also curate one test. We are going through all the question papers of FTI and all these filmmaking question papers. JNU Cinema Studies. We are collecting all those questions which have been asked from this topic of screenplay writing. It will be live in the coming week. Okay? Because this time they have asked 4 questions just from screenplay writing. So in script writing, who coined the beginning, middle, end concept? So dear students, I am again going to reiterate it. If you look at it, so there is no clear cut, so there were several other authors also who talks about the idea of beginning, middle, and end. If you look at Indian literature, Natya Shastra, even Natya Shastra not directly talks about beginning, middle, and end, but it also talks about structure of a good screenplay, or no, not screenplay, a structure of a good drama. Okay? In Greek literature, it was further elaborated much. But yes, Aristotle in his treatise on poetics, which is like a very seminal work on literature, he talks initially about, like, the major question was how to tell a good story. Okay, everything is a story, and story is one of the oldest information and communication technologies of the world. Okay, if we so what is technology? When we talk about technology shouldn't be looked at from lexicon definition के सर कुछ chips वगैरह हो रही है. Technology is something which makes your work easy. Okay, so if you want to comprehend, if you want to store a lot of knowledge, the best technology is to use a story. Okay, and stories lives for thousands of years. You have heard about stories which are, you know, older than 1000 2000 years. Our scriptures, Ramayana and Mahabharata, what are they? They were tools, they were technologies to communicate complex ideas, complex philosophies, complex religion. Okay, so they are technologies. So the very basic question is how to write a great story. Okay, Aristotle in his work Poetics, seminal work, it's a treatise, provides a framework for understanding and evaluating stories, particularly dramatic stories. He emphasizes on the importance of plot, character, theme, and other major elements like dialogue, spectacle, chorus. In this book, he talks about this idea of beginning, middle, and end. Okay, that every story should have a plot, you know, beginning. So there is a certain kind of conflict, then something happens and there is a conclusion. Okay, so initially it was given by Aristotle. Okay, but this person Sidfield, he took this further. So the right answer is Aristotle. यहाँ तक बात ठीक है. ठीक है, Sidfield borrowed this concept of beginning, middle, and end from Aristotle, and in 1979 he wrote a phenomenal book called Sidfield Screenplay. Why I'm calling this phenomenal? Because the most prolific directors of this world, Hollywood directors, even Indian directors, they quote this book. Even Martin Scorsese, in a recent interview, even Rajkumar Hirani talks about this book called Screenplay by Sidfield. He takes the idea of beginning, middle, and end from this Aristotle, and he creates a 3-act structure, a model of script writing in cinema. Okay, he devises a model of script writing. So then he comes up with an idea of action point, plot point. Okay, a 3-act structure, how long act 1, act 2, act 3 should be. We have discussed about this 3-act structure in great detail. Please watch that video. Okay, and I'm also going to curate one test which will be having all the PYQs from the recent last 15 years, all these filmmaking question papers, FTI and all those things. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. For an individual market, allocative efficiency is achieved when. So dear students, this question is actually out of syllabus question. This is core macroeconomics. Okay, but I don't know how it is related to our subject, but this is actually postmortem series. So we shouldn't be skipping this question. हमको इसको भी अच्छे से पढ़ना है. ठीक है, what is allocative efficiency? So in very simple terms, if you look at welfare states, ठीक है, I keep reiterating things that in our society there are limited resources. So and we need to use these resources very effectively so that we can reach to maximum benefit, maximum welfare of the state. Okay, what does this theory of allocative efficiency suggest? That your every marginal cost, let's say you have 100 rupees at your disposal, okay, and you have choice to produce food, education, okay, and security. You have let's say you have 1 lakh crore rupees at your disposal, or let's say you have limited resources. Let's take example that you have only 100 rupees at your disposal, and from those 100 rupees you have choice that you can either produce food, either you can spend it on education, either you can spend it on security of country, or let's say food, education, and employment or skill development. So let's say for 10 rupees you can produce food, okay, or you can produce food for 100 rupees, but you need to allocate all these funds efficiently, that marginal benefit with, let's say I am very hungry, okay, I'm very hungry. So what are you going to do? You are going to feed me pizza, or let's say chapati. So the very first chapati is going to give me a lot of utility, okay, the benefit is going to be very high. Then when I'm going to get second chapati, still I'm going to feel satiated, but the utility is going to be comparably lower than the first chapati, and it goes on. Third chapati, it is actually the law of diminishing utility. Okay, so once I have fed the entire population, I shouldn't be spending much on food. Then I should go on education. Okay, so allocative efficiency is a state of economy in which production is aligned with the preferences of consumers and producers. This is achieved if every produced good and services has marginal benefit equal to or greater than the marginal cost of production. ठीक है, हर चपाती की कॉस्ट है. ठीक है, जिस समय मुझे ऐसा लगेगा कि अगली चपाती की कॉस्ट मेरी मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी से कम है, मुझे वहाँ स्टॉप करके उसको ऐसी चीज़ पे खर्च करना चाहिए जैसे एजुकेशन हो गया, जिसकी मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी ज़्यादा होगी. ठीक है, आई कैन स्पेंड ऑन प्राइमरी एजुकेशन. ओके, so it should you can say that marginal benefit should equal to be marginal cost. So this is core macroeconomics. I don't know how it is related to media studies, but I hope you learned this concept as well. Okay, so for individual market, the allocative efficiency is achieved when the price is set equal to the marginal cost. मतलब ये statement में भी दिक्कत है. It should be when the marginal utility or the price of marginal utility, यहाँ कुछ missing है. ठीक है, is set equal to the marginal cost. There is a error in this statement as well. I hope now you will realize it when you have learned about this concept in great detail. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Arrange the following. Somehow I skipped this question. We can discuss about it in the next class. Okay. Next question is inserts. What are inserts? So this question has been asked from unit number 9, or you can also connect it with unit number 7, production. So in filmmaking, what are insert? Inserts are let's say part of scene. पहले इसको पढ़ते हैं. In film, an insert is a shot of part of a scene as filmed from a different angle. So फर्ज कीजिए I'm a protagonist. ठीक है, मैं एक एक्टर हूँ, आप लोग मुझे डायरेक्ट कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, एक सीन है जिसमें ये वाला सीन रिक्रिएट करते हैं. तो देयर इज सम एक्शन गोइंग ऑन. ठीक है, सो द मेजर एक्शन इज दैट दिस पर्सन हैज़ गॉट कट बाय अ नाइफ, एंड द सेंट्रल फोकस ऑफ दिस एंटायर सीन इज दिस कट wound. So the establishing shot, which will be a wider shot, would be some action which leads to a cut on or wound on my hand. Okay, what is insert? Insert is इंसर्टेड, लाइक आप उसके अंदर एक ऐसा शॉट डालोगे जो जैसे मेरा वूंड है उसको ज़्यादा एलैबरेट करेगा ऑडियंस के लिए. जैसे ये सीन है. ठीक है, मेजर सीन वॉज दिस एक्टर गेट्स वुंडेड, ही इज़ लुकिंग एट हिज वाउंड. ठीक है, द इंसर्ट इज फॉर द ऑडियंस टू गेट मोर डिटेल अबाउट द सीन. ठीक है, नाउ आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. इन अ फिल्म, an insert is a shot of part of a scene as filmed from different angle or focal length from the master shot. Inserts cover, ये मेन चीज़ है, cover action already covered in master shot, but it emphasizes a different aspect. ठीक है, this person got hurt, the insert was the close up of that wound when he got hurt. ठीक है, this detail is emphasis of this action. So inserts are full screen close-ups of letter, photographs. Let's say somebody, there's a scene where soldier, he gets a letter. वो देखिए ना, संदेश से आते हैं. सो उसके अंदर आपको इंसर्ट का एग्जांपल मिलेगा. द एक्टर गेट्स दैट लेटर फ्रॉम हिज हाउस, एंड व्हेन द क्लोजअप इज ऑन दैट लेटर, ओके, दैट देयर माइट बी सम ड्राइड लीफ ऑफ अ फ्लावर. Okay, or the close-up is on that letter, or it could be a wound in this case. Okay, or could be certain, like a protagonist or a character is reading a newspaper, the close-up of a news where it reveals something to the audience. Okay, so full screen close-ups of letters, photographs, newspapers, signs, posters, or written or printed matter. Yes, this is the right option. It is a close-up of certain event which emphasizes, which reveals certain details. Half screenshot, this is nothing. This is not a good code for filmmaking. There is nothing called half screenshot. What is half screenshot? Either it could be a close-up or it could be a wide angle shot, mid shot. There is nothing called half screenshot. ठीक है, क्या आधा काट के आप उसको दिखाओगे? Then wide angle shot, no, wide angle is a master shot. Inserts are there to reveal more information. Then no, it's not, it's a close up, remember this. Okay, so the right answer would be full screen close-ups of letters, photographs, newspapers, signs, posters और other written or printed matter. Okay, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Who among the following is the author of Cybernetics or Control and Communication in Animal and Machine, first published in 1948? So dear students, again this is, I guess, 10th or 11th question in this question. This question paper is, you know, it reeks of a lot of media literature questions. I don't know why this time they have asked 11-12 questions just from media literature. So take this very seriously. Please learn about media literature, and some questions were fresh. This is, I guess, repeated for third or fourth time. Cybernetics is there in PYQs and it has been repeated 2-3 times already. Okay, so who among the following is the author of Cybernetics, Control and Communication in Animal and Machine, first published in 1948? Answer you all know, Norbert Wiener, but let us discuss about this concept in great detail. So this is a very interdisciplinary technological concept of cybernetics, which is applicable in human machine communication, media studies, neuroscience, artificial intelligence, analog computing. What is cybernetics? Okay, it is a blend, or let's say cyber plus netics. The very idea that machines can give a feedback, or let's say they can react through us to a stimulus, and this is very much applicable around you. Take example of Alexa, Siri, how they are reacting. It is cybernetics. Okay, you enter a room and the fan starts itself. It's also cybernetics. Okay, this theory was like this mechanism. The seed was first sown by this person called Norbert Wiener. Cybernetics or Control and Communication in Animal and Machine. Okay, so this idea of, you know, input or let's say feedback to a certain stimulus. फ़र्ज़ कीजिए मेरा हाथ एक कैंडल के पास है, मुझे स्टिमुलस मिलेगा, जलेगा, मैं इसको ऐसे खींचूंगा. ठीक है, आप कहीं जा रहे हैं, आपकी आंखों में धूप लगती है, आप ऐसे, आपका रिफ्लेक्स होता है. ठीक है, हाउ दिस गॉट स्टिमुलेटेड इन मशीन्स, that is cybernetics. Isn't it interesting? I hope you find it interesting. So cybernetics or Control and Communication in Animal and the Machine is a groundbreaking work authored by Norbert Wiener, released in 1948. This work marks the public use of the term cybernetics to describe the self-regulating systems. It established the theoretical groundwork for various fields, including electrical, mechanical and hydraulics, automatic navigations, analog computing, artificial intelligence. And also, if you remember, this person had a major contribution in that Shannon and Weaver model as well. Okay, he gave that idea of feedback. Initially there was no feedback, it was very linear. Don't get confused. Okay, Shannon and Weaver model, when it came, it was linear model. He suggested this idea of feedback also. Okay, so he becomes very important. So Norbert Wiener. Last question for the day. The systematic study of how people interpret text is known as. The answer, option 1 is hermeneutics, ethnography, rhetoric or phenomenology. So ethnography we have already discussed. It's a qualitative research methodology in which the researcher, okay, he goes to the field, he observes, he lives with the respondents. Rhetoric is the art of public speaking. It was given by Aristotle only. Phenomenology is the study of a phenomena. The right answer would be hermeneutics, but we are not going to restrict it to the answer. We are going to discuss about it, learn about it, what exactly is hermeneutics. Okay, so if you go to the lexicon, or let's say if you learn about learn it through etymologically, okay, how this word, what does this word means. So hermeneutics, basically this idea came in 16th 17th century, is the art and science of interpretation of, initially it was all about interpretation of biblical text, take a religious text. This was later taken let's say into media studies. Okay, when we talk about text in the context of media studies, every media artifact, whether it's films or let's say magazine, billboard, web series, music videos, songs, everything is a text. As all these cultural theorists like Derrida, Foucault, they all talks about text. Okay, text are not innocuous as they seems to be, that they are just merely form of entertainment. They reeks of ideology, power. Okay, and when we talk about this idea of peeling it, जब हम we deconstruct these artifacts of text, it could be on the basis of gender representations, it could be on the basis of, let's say, stereotypes, okay, taboos, all those things. So the branch of knowledge that deals with the interpretation of text in what is hermeneutics in research, very relevant for media studies. Hermeneutics emerged as a theory and methodology of interpretation, especially of text and symbolic content. This is all what cultural studies is all about, peeling out the layers of text in a media artifact. You are watching a web series, आपको लग रहा है merely entertainment है, but actually that media text is cultivating a lot of ideas. It is cultivating your identities. It is cultivating what is normal, what is not normal. Okay, it is cultivating a lot of ideas into you. Okay, so hermeneutics emerged as a theory and methodology of interpretation, especially of text and symbolic content, very much relevant in media studies when we talk about methodologies such as textual analysis, content analysis. They are all somehow not entirely hermeneutics, but yeah, you can say that they are a form of hermeneutics. Okay, the hermeneutic tradition, with its roots in ancient philosophical traditions, has evolved to become a cornerstone in humanities and social sciences. So with this, let us call this a day. If you found this lecture helpful, kindly consider liking this video. It will help me with the algorithms. Okay, your small homework, you have to tell me the date of National Public Relation Day and the date of World Public Relation Day. Okay, with this, let us call this a day. Dear students, not much time is there in your hands, just 40 days or let's say 38 days. And I keep telling you this thing, that in the next 38 days कुछ लोगों की लाइफ बदल जाएगी, लिटरली लाइफ बदल जाएगी. एक एग्ज़ाम निकलेगा, जो अभी उनकी स्थिति है उससे बहुत बेहतर हो जाएंगे. ठीक है, पर दोस्तों बात यह है कि देर आर लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज, पीपल, देर आर मोर पीपल. ओके, सो मेहनत कीजिए, पूरे टाइम पढ़ते रहिए, जितना ज़्यादा आप अपने आप को दे सकते हैं. ठीक है, सो विद दिस लेट अस कॉल दिस ए डे. वी शैल मीट इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. टेक केयर, बाय.